Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining Insight Legal for this webinar on how to speed up your conveyancing. My name is Josh Dallywell, and I'm one of 3 hosts on this call today. I'm kindly joined by my colleagues Andy Butler and Nathan Street for this next 30 minutes. Some of you who are already Insight clients, or you're already talking to Insight Legal, excuse me, may already be familiar with excuse me, Andy and Nathan as our 2 product specialists. Andy has been with the firm for the past 8 years, and Nathan, I think you're coming up to close to having been with us for a year, I think. So good afternoon, guys.
Afternoon.
Hello, Josh.
My colleagues will also be monitoring the chat and QA boxes on Zoom for your questions. This webinar is being recorded, so we will be making a copy available to everyone who's registered by email, and you'll get that as a link to the video on YouTube as a private link. I'm pretty sure there's also going to be a dedicated page for this webinar on our website as well. And I think it's likely to be late today or tomorrow that email goes out to everyone. I'll quickly kind of share my colleagues' contact details with you so you've got those at hand. So if anybody has any questions following up on this webinar, or you're watching this webinar as a recording, you have everybody's contact details on the screen in front of you. Okay, now I guess kind of for those of you that aren't already familiar with Insight, and I did notice a few new names on the webinar registration list. Insight Legal is a legal software company, and we typically work with practice managers, finance managers, and senior partners in law firms, really kind of anywhere from sole practitioners to businesses of above 150 people. I think our largest client now, which is a multinational, has now over 220 users. And there are really kind of several reasons why we get approached, or why law firms are looking to change their software provider. And it's normally down to a small number of very important issues that they face. They either feel that they lack the level of support they need from their existing software supplier, their current product has reached its end of life and is so no longer being updated. I know we've certainly had a few calls and emails in recent weeks, particularly to do with MTD. And obviously that's an important feature, and obviously that's not something that legacy systems that haven't been updated in several years will support. Or a firm faces kind of rising costs, or the contract terms with their existing software supplier are unfavorable. Okay, or again, just simply that the software is just not suited to the needs of a modern growing firm. So if anybody who's joined this webinar is looking to change suppliers or is evaluating new suppliers, we'd be really happy to hear from you. Yeah, please feel free to use the chat or QA boxes on the Zoom toolbar to put forward any questions during this session. Okay, now in terms of, I guess, kind of what do we have in store for you? We know that conveyancing work continues to throw up its sometimes quite kind of own unique set of challenges, so we'll run through some of those. And then we're going to show you what features Insight Legal includes to help you through the process of running your files more efficiently. And I will be handing over the controls to my colleagues Nathan and Andy to navigate you through some of our out-of-the-box features. So that includes kind of workflows, searches, the integration with SLDT, digital forms, completion statements, and we're hoping Andy, you'll be able to show us the client portal as well. Now, I guess kind of for all of you working at the coal face of conveyancing, you'll know better than either me or anyone at Insight Legal the challenges faced, and these are just some of the ones that we hear about. And again, if there are any that you feel are missing from this list, then please feel free to use the chat function to share some of those experiences, and we'll try and mention those on this call. Now, there are a number of ways in which firms have to evolve to continue to meet and certainly kind of, exceed the expectations of clients. So I guess kind of much like Netflix, people these days want everything, including their solicitor, to be available on demand, as opposed to the normal streaming live hours that you operate. But what we want to cover off during this session is really kind of the role that technology and automation has to play. So I think one of the things that we're going to start off by talking about is workflows. Now, we understand it's a real challenge to manage high workloads along with kind of strict deadlines and compliance rules. It has to obviously be the priority for firms to maintain profitability, to streamline your process and really kind of create efficiencies wherever possible. And often making even just a small number of productivity changes can add up to a huge impact on the time you use on a file. This will not only make your business more effective and efficient, but it also results in better outcomes, hopefully, for your customers. And I guess kind of here are just some of the ways that you can speed up the conveyancing process today. One of those is really having an effective onboarding process. And this might include, having a set questionnaire that goes out to clients or for your support staff to complete with the client, as really kind of the initial steps. So if you can speed up the process of data collection, you can have everything you need to get started with work on the file as soon as possible. So rather than having a member of staff get the information from the client in the format of a discussion, you can simply send out a secure online questionnaire that they can quickly and easily fill out. It can also improve accuracy and ensure that all the right data is really kind of collected really upfront, and certainly kind of in the timely manner with which you need it. Having kind of several touch points between your case management system and your colleagues and the client is really there to give you, or certainly kind of move away from, I guess, kind of the way a lot of firms work, which is whereby calling up or emailing the conveyancer is the only way that the client can get an update on the status of their file. I'm sure those of you who perform that work on a day-to-day basis will understand that if all you ever spend, if you manage to spend all your time responding to clients, you'd actually never get any real work done. So but giving both the client and support staff access through the case management, so anybody can go in and see everything from financial status, what's been completed, what's next, and what's outstanding, can alleviate some of that workload from conveyancers. We'll talk about processes during the course of this session as well. You might be surprised at just how many processes that have been a part of your business for a long time really aren't the most efficient way to do things. In some cases, it can be possible to take these processes away from staff and actually automate a great deal of them. So with automated workflows, you can build fully compliant, standardized conveyancing processes that save a great deal of time and improve productivity. And this can obviously take a huge administrative burden off your team. And I guess kind of just on the final one here, in terms of kind of real-time updates, using case management software allows you to provide clients with a secure portal from which they can access their case files and kind of timelines and be provided with real-time updates. It's a great way to eliminate unnecessary communications, and again, which speeds up work and normalcy and the ability, obviously, to share documents with the client as well. Now, many of you, I guess I'm going to kind of touch upon kind of workflows as really kind of the starting point for this webinar. Some of you will already have some understanding of workflows, whether you use them in your current or previous roles. And often when people talk about workflows, they kind of often kind of limit their understanding of them to being a set process, which is made up of sometimes very clearly defined individual tasks, which have to be completed sometimes in a linear fashion. And those tasks may involve multiple people, both internal and external, and integrations with other systems. Okay. Now, what people are often unclear on is what the full range of benefits of a workflow are. And I'm going to kind of put these all up on the screen here. And I'm not going to go into detail on, I guess, kind of these individually as the full list of benefits. We've covered these in more detail in a number of webinars that we've done, which are specific to workflows in recent weeks. So if anyone is interested in watching recordings of those webinars, then please drop an email through to me or any of my colleagues here, or to our webinars team at webinars@insightlegal.co.uk, and we'd be happy to share the link to the recording of those webinars. But essentially, again, there is much more to workflows than, I guess, kind of what people kind of typically associate with, which is predominantly kind of control, and I guess it being kind of limited to being a very linear process. Okay. In fact, actually, if we do have time at the end of this call, I will try and show you how to navigate to the page on our website where we've got a list of our previous webinars and the associated recordings for those as well. Okay. Now, Nathan, I'm going to kind of bring you in here. So you should have screen share control to run through one of our conveyancing workflows. I know we have separate ones for sale, purchase, and remortgage, and we also have kind of commercial conveyancing now as well. But yeah, I suppose we have a real mix of clients using workflows at the moment. Which one are you going to be showing us?
So what I'm going to go through, I'll quickly just share my screen now. I'm going to go through the residential conveyancing purchase. And what I'm going to go through as well will be the foundational workflow, right? And when I say foundational, it still works in a structured way through the life of a file, but the intention is that it has sort of the limited interaction. So it still gives you the ability to work how you would want to through the life of the file, but does have some form of structure to it, right? So looking at the screen here, there's two key differences you'll see, hopefully in comparison to the system you're currently using within Insight Standard or Insight Enterprise. The user-defined data at the bottom, which I very much see as some form of fact-finding area, if you will. It ensures that any data that you could need to record through the life of a file, it gives you the ability to record that. And then on the right-hand side, which is the bit we're focused on, is the workflow itself. So like I say, the workflow goes through the life of a file, but like I say, it goes in a way that means that you'd only necessarily have one task for every milestone, as opposed to having something that would go through every single possibility through the life of a file. Like I say, giving sort of that, I see sort of three key areas that the workflows can benefit. And I think it sort of aids in differing areas of a law firm. I think for junior staff, it very much gives that sort of helping hand through the life of a file. But equally, I think it builds sort of comfortability with sort of firm and matter processes, as I appreciate each law firm will work in a different way. So having some form of a structure that a junior staff member can follow will build some form of structure and some comfortability around the way they're working. I think with senior staff, they benefit in a very different way, being that senior staff, they don't need the helping hand. They don't need to be told what to do next. But with a workflow, it can build some form of efficiency around the way they currently work now, be that through sort of gathering information, document templating, as although the workflow isn't necessarily intrusive in the way it won't tell you what to do next, it will give you a task that you may want to do, and it will give you the ability to do it now, like producing documents en masse that at the minute you may do one by one, or you may do completely externally from the system. And it will give you that, and it will allow you to do that at one point. The last and probably the most important area that I think workflows can benefit is very much on a compliance front. As I think with the structure that it gives you, it would allow you and sort of ensure that you record certain information at certain stages, but equally can ensure that compliance sort of structures and compliance flows are done at certain points within a file. Right, so that's sort of the three areas I see the benefit is. What I'll do, I'll show you now sort of how a fee earner would interact with the workflow and how that would look within Insight. So
sure, Nathan, just before you quickly do that, I'm guessing I guess one of the things that I kind of touched upon earlier was really kind of having an effective onboarding process right up front with a client, so you're not having to be, kind of part way through working on a matter, you suddenly realize you're missing bits of information. And I guess kind of what you're showing me there in terms of kind of those opening stages, you're recording information on who the estate agent is, who the seller is, etc.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like I say, every law firm will work in a different way, and your onboarding process may be different. And like I say, with these workflows, they can be catered and they can be customized as to exactly how you would work. Right. So if you work in this way, fantastic. The out of the box workflow will be everything you need, and it will go through the life of file how you want it. But equally, you may want to do, say, AML searches at the start, and you have the ability to be able to cater that to how you would work. Right. But looking at the first task itself, so within Insight, how you do this, there's two ways you can record this. So I appreciate with estate agents, they're probably a third party that you come across regularly, and they'll probably already be on the system. So all you would do in this point is on this first task, away from all of this detail here, you would just simply press on the magnifying glass. You would search for who you're wanting. So just searching the start of estate, selecting Roman's estate agents, pressing play. What that will do is that would then input that into the system. It would pull that over into the contact section here. The main point for that being is that you can email them, create templates associated with those parties at that point. Again, the other way of doing it, if say for a seller, I can't imagine you would probably have them on your system already. You just give it the information it wants, and you would do exactly the same thing. You would complete that action. They would pull then into the contact, and you can do exactly the same as what you could have done above. You can email them and you can create templates for those parties. One of the biggest areas, and I appreciate for a lot of conveyancing firms, this will probably be where the biggest time saving will be in the document production area and the gathering information, right? Gathering information, I think, is a very key point at this stage, because I think property value is one of those things that for your professional indemnity insurance, you would need to be able to equate and work out average property values and the highest property value you've had. With Insight, considering that's built into one of the areas of the workflow, and it would then pre-populate into the user-defined fields as it's a double entry system, you can report on that value. So what may take you a couple of hours to work out now can take you now a matter of seconds if you are using it through the course of a workflow. Again, how it would work with that, you would save that detail, it would go into the user-defined fields. Then touching on the templating side of things, all of these templates existing in Insight, all you would do is you would click produce all. It would then bring up the box in the middle of the screen where it's saying these are the 4 documents you would like to produce. You would then associate it with the client you want it to be associated with. You'd click on the Word document here. You'd then pull them over into produce templates, and then your welcome pack would be produced through the system. Like I say, this is just sort of one of the short few ways that the Insight can interact and how it can sort of build some form of efficiencies. Like I say, through the remainder of the file, a lot of templating areas are done, a lot of gathering information. But like I say, that is sort of at its most basic level how a fee earner initially would interact with a workflow.
Excellent, thank you for that. And I guess that was obviously a very, very quick run through. And so if anybody would like a demonstration of our conveyancing workflows, or any of our workflows actually, then please feel free to get in touch, and we'd be happy to go through that. And I know that obviously that's, again, I guess one of the things that people may not have picked up on Nathan's point, is that any one of our workflows is customizable. So yes, we do try and create them out of the box to fit the needs of most firms out there. But yes, we do have a workflow implementation team which will actually kind of sit down with you, map out your processes, and either tweak any of our existing workflows or come up with a brand new workflow, which is actually, again, very custom made or bespoke to your processes and the order in which you want those processes to work. Okay, I guess I guess as this kind of next step, I'm going to bring in kind of Andy here to talk about, I guess, some of the other kind of out of the box and I guess integrated features that we have here on Insight Legal. So Andy, I'm going to let you kind of share your screen here.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Thanks, Nathan. So everyone, I'm looking at the attendee list. There's some people I've spoken to before and some people I haven't. So hi, everyone. What I'll go through now will be the sort of exact conveyancing features. Nathan's shown you the workflows. I'm sure people can sort of interpret that and you can see how that will be useful for family, employment, litigation. What I'll focus on now will be the conveyancing specific bits of work. I'm going to go through the forms. I'm going to go through our SDLT integration, our searches, our completion statement, and our new portal. I could easily take 15 minutes to talk about each part of this. I'm going to go through this in about 1 minute each, right? Just to sort of bring us to an end at 12:30. If you guys had a demo, we go through this in much more detail. You can ask me the questions, but I'll just show you that it's there, and the detail, can absolutely come if we have a presentation together. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so everyone, very first thing to show you our form integration. So this is provided by a company called Formevo. They're exactly the same as Laser, as Oye, as any other form provider that anyone is currently using. The forms can be part of the workflow. So at a time, when the time is right for you to make an AP1, a TR1, a TA13, you can also, within the document production tab, prepare any form at any time. So like Josh mentioned, those workflows do not have to be very prescriptive. You can work outside of them should you desire. I'm just going to make with you today in the bottom left-hand corner, a TA13. I tick the box. This is the form I wish to produce for my client. I click this icon here. Now, you can rename the form now. You can do this later. Just going to open this with you. This will prepare the TA13 within the Formevo website, the Formevo area. There's lots of work you can do once you're within the form, including sharing it with clients, sharing it with other parties for comment or view only. You can print these off. A lot of them can have e-signatures on. You can finalize them, you can draft them. Like I said, I could spend about 10 minutes on this quite easily, but just to show you today, this is a TA13. It's pulled through some of the information that I've told it to pull through. So the property address, the postcode, the seller. This works, everyone, with every single form. They can be mapped. That detail that you've already put within your workflow that you've given to Insight will pull through, right? It's a normal form. And should you wish to just type something in, it's a text box and you can do that as well, right? If you save a form, top left, it'll leave it as a draft. I can quit this. And when I take you back to Insight, just going to wait for that to save. When I take you back to Insight and I look at the matter files or the document history of this matter in question, my TA13 is here. I can double click and it will open it up again, right? That's the forms. That works with any form you can imagine for your other departments. You've got your Form E, you've got your IHT forms. That's Formevo. Again, any more detail, we can talk about that.
Sure, Andy, and I guess an important point here is that I guess those forms are things that most conveyancers will be familiar with, but again, it is really kind of saving those seconds and minutes that go with kind of manually populating the data or copying it, pasting from one system to another. I guess, it also kind of deals with the accuracy issues on there as well.
Yeah.
And again, a copy of that form is saved on the file in the matter files. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to chase anybody to find copies of anything that needs to go in on those forms. At the point at which you're completing that form, it will already pull in that information, whether that's been as part of the onboarding process or not.
Absolutely, Josh. Yeah, and I mean, so the more of our integrations you use, the more time you're going to save because the data is entered once and once only, right? So that's the forms. Next thing, so SDLT. This is another thing that's with Enterprise, that's with our conveyancing workflow. If you would like, the SDLT document can be prepared from within your workflow, and very similar to the forms, it can come pre-populated, partially, fully, not at all. but whatever way you choose to use it, it will all live within the file. So just within my workflow, I have a task to submit the SDLT document. I'm going to action this within my workflow. I'm going to open it now. This will open up the SDLT document. This is provided by FormEvo as well. It's one of their sort of offshoot companies, sdlt.co.uk. This document can also be mapped. To what extent you wish to map it is completely up to you, but everything you can see, these drop downs, these text boxes, you can predefine. So if you answer within the workflow, the type of property that it is residential, that will be there for you, right? Anything else you can also map. You can enter it now, as you can see, but you can pre-map it. Much like FormEvo, save the SDLT document, quit the document, and going back to Insight, it will continue to live within here. Should I need to revisit this, I simply double click and it will bring me back to where I ended up. You can save this, you can submit this through here. You pay sdlt.co.uk directly for this service. If you wanted sort of a comprehensive demo and all of the questions that you guys know much better than me, we could put you in touch with them. So that's the SDLT piece as well. Next thing I'm going to talk about will be our searches. So our current integration is with a provider called IndexPI. We're looking at some other providers, but as of right now, as of the time, as of this call, we work with IndexPI. So still within the workflow, property searches, I want to create an order, start quote. So this will open up the IndexPI website. The address, now, had I have recorded this properly, that's the wrong postcode. Had I recorded that properly, the address would have found the property for me. If I just type in with you live so you can see it working.
Yeah, it's worthwhile mentioning that we do use kind of mock data and fictional data on our database.
Yeah. So I type in a property address, it'll find it for me, got the title number, all of that sort of stuff. The mapping, if I use the online mapping, and this is a question I've been asked in the past, so I'll present it now. If this boundary is incorrect, I've heard from people in the past that sometimes, it might be smaller or bigger. You can adjust the boundary here, you can draw the boundary. In the bottom right-hand corner, if I just confirm it, right, it'll show you all the products on offer. With all of these, simply add them to the order. Let me choose another one, this one here. Bear with me 2 seconds. There you go, this one. I should have chose that one at the start. Right, so if I add those products to the order, on the far right, it'll show you the products that you have asked for. Just like the other parts, you can save this as a quote to revisit it. You can confirm the order. You'll have an email receipt sent to you, the person who's ordered the search, saying, yep, confirmed. This is a service provided by IndexPI, like I say, so you have a contract with them, you pay them directly. They would be able to give you a full demo and all the commercials about it. If I just save this as a quote, as before, the point, massive point of using IndexPI through Insight, it's all saved within the file. And within the matter files, it exists. I can double click, it's there for me. So you've just got that single solution, okay, that we keep talking about. So that's the searches. Completion statement, so a big part of Insight now, really, really straightforward. Just going to go to another file here. And if I show you the ledger on this file, it's got a lot of stuff on it. Here we go. Okay, so my ledger on my office, I've got all of my searches that I need, monies paid on account, deposit monies, mortgage advance, it's all been recorded. Now, if this data is given to Insight, anyone, whether it's the fee earner or support staff, within case inquiry, where we've been the whole time, you've got a tab that now reads completion statement. And this is a relatively new part of Insight. Within the completion statement here, you would see the lines of text that you and your staff recognize. So you may call monies paid on account something else. That can all be determined. You may have more lines than us in your payments received. It's all determined by you. This is all made to measure firm by firm. All you have to do here, because the transactions have been recorded within the ledger, you click the pen icon to include the monies paid on account within the correct line. You tick it. Do the same with all your payments out. Click the produce document icon. This, Nathan showed you something very similar, is our Word integration. So it's Office 365. Normal rules apply that everyone on the call knows about. It's a Word document with merge fields on, who it's going to, references, completion date. Anything you've given to Insight will pull through to this document. This can all be, again, configured. Your completion statement may not look the same as mine. That's part of all the consultancy we deliver. You would present to us your completion statement. We would work with you to have it look exactly the same as it does now. Okay, but like just mentioned earlier, one of the absolute great benefits of using this completion statement, nothing can be, transposed incorrectly. There's going to be no, dodgy typing, and it all pulls through the data given to Insight. So entered once and only once. You can change this if you like. If you do, you'll save it as normal. You'll quit out of it as normal. It's a Word document, and it will always be saved back to, okay, you guys have probably hear me repeat myself now, the matter files. That's where it lives.
Excellent. Andy, just before we kind of move on from this section to go and look at the portal, I think it's probably worthwhile also mentioning the financial tab in the bottom left-hand corner here. And I think this kind of addresses kind of one of those things that we talked about earlier, which is, if the information on the financial summary on the account is only held by the fee earner or the conveyancer working on it, if you do have a situation where you have somebody who just wants to ring up, and I know a lot of the work is done as fixed fee, but if somebody just wants to know, what do I owe on the account, it's something that every member of staff who has access to Insight can simply address, answer. It doesn't have to wait until the fee earner is back from holiday or back from their long weekend, etc., for somebody just to be able to pull this information through whenever it's required.
Yeah, it's just such a quick and convenient view. So absolutely, just like you say, so this ledger here, for example, is, if it's a probate file, potentially, it's a massive ledger. And there's loads of transactions on it. I'm not massively familiar with reading a ledger, and all I want to know is the balance. And I've got you on the phone chasing me, right? Don't even look at the ledger. You've got the financial tab, and there is that immediate snapshot of the current state of the file. And that's all there is to it, just a single click. The figures are right there. Final thing to show you, everyone, will be the portal. So the portal is, again, a part of Enterprise. It's absolutely your choice as a firm, whether you wish to use it or not. Some firms that we speak to are really keen on this. Other firms we speak to are not keen on this, but it's a firm by firm basis. So the portal, firstly, it would be sort of branded, similar to your website. So all the coloration, your logos, if you like, will sit within the portal. Even the link to the portal, it'll say yourlawfirm.com.caseinquiry.co.uk. All right, so it very much will look like an extension of your website. The information that you wish to share on the portal is completely up to you, and who you wish to share the portal with is also up to you. So you may have, clients who aren't as au fait with technology as others. You might not want to share the portal with them. If you have a sale and a purchase with me, you may choose to only share the portal with me on one of those two matters. But it's completely up to you how that's determined. The information that you show, you may wish to show me the progress of my file and what steps have been completed, what started and what's yet to be, actioned. Completely up to you what you present here. You'll be able to see who is looking after the file. If you choose to share this, and I can email you, you might not share a number, right? But you can absolutely share an email there only potentially. You can ask the client for information. So a big part of Enterprise, and I'm not going to show you it now, but if you had a demo, we could absolutely present it. You can ask the client for information. The client will visit the portal, record the responses, answer the questions you've asked them. That data will then pull back through to your Insight, and you can have the chance to vet that information before it is put into your data set. So you can, fix any spelling mistakes, refuse anything, send it back. That's a big part of this as well that I won't show you today. Any invoices the client will see within here, paid, unpaid, fully paid. The client, can just check that their correct information is here. This workflow is sort of very nearly, this portal is very nearly finished. I think we're sort of in final kind of beta testing with some of our clients. Again, if you were to have a demo, we could sort of absolutely go through it, answer any questions, and talk about all the pricing involved. But yes, Josh, yeah, we're at the time. Happy with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely brilliant. And again, if this comes back down to, I guess, kind of offering your clients a number of different touch points, so they don't necessarily need to be having on the phone what the status of their file is. People working, during the day can just simply log in on the portal in the evening and see exactly what's gone on, what the next stage is, and I guess get that reassurance that they'll be looking for from their conveyancer. Okay. Perfect. Right, just I guess kind of a final few bits for me to go through. So I guess, yeah, really kind of, so what is kind of the end goal with, let me pull up the right slide. So what really is the end goal with any kind of, I guess, kind of automation or really kind of standardization? Ultimately, it should be there to kind of help you speed up working through a matter, either by sharing or delegating responsibility for tasks in a way that doesn't always rely upon a human to say, right, now I finished my bit and now it's time for you to take over. That efficiency should also bring cost saving. It allows fee earners to focus on more of their time on higher value tasks, but also ensure as a firm that you can handle a larger caseload. You reduce risk by ensuring, regardless of who is completing a task, that the correct process is followed, and again, templating documents. So again, you can have multiple letters with the correct information stored within the case management. And so you're not avoiding errors by kind of manually re-entering that information. And obviously with automation, you can also kind of standardize and optimize this process to ensure that every time a matter is submitted with all the right information, imagine how much time you could save just again by avoiding chasing up with individuals for the omitted bits of information that needs you as a fee earner to really kind of progress the file. Okay. I'm going to kind of hand over to you guys. I know that we've kind of run slightly over time, but yeah, if you have any questions, then please feel free to type those into the chat box. I do have a question that I've picked up here, guys, and this one here is on pricing. So I guess there are aspects of this that I can answer very easily, which is that Insight Legal is a subscription product, and we charge £65 per user per month. So based on however many or however few users you have, you obviously pay only for the number of users you have. But obviously, I guess because this question is submitted anonymously, I don't know whether you will require a migration. So do you have an existing software that you use already? We do have a price calculator on our website, which allows you to add in which current software supplier, or you don't have a software supplier, and we obviously it works out, calculates the figure for exporting the data from that system into Insight Legal if you're a new customer, and obviously it will also work out some kind of approximation on what the training costs are as well. Okay. I'm just going to have a quick another scan, see if there's any other questions submitted through. No, but again, if anybody has any other questions, then please feel free to reach out to us at either on our individual email addresses or to webinars@insightlegal.co.uk. Now, I did obviously just mention that I would try and show you guys where you can access recordings from our previous webinars. So let me just go onto the Insight Legal website and I will share my screen again. So this is the homepage for the Insight Legal website. In the top right hand corner, you have a section here called News, and if you hover over that, you've got events, videos, etc. But if you tap on events, that takes you to a page where we've obviously got a whole host of other webinars. You can see we've done some recently on conveyancing, residential conveyancing and commercial conveyancing. And if you tap on any one of those, they will also include links to pre-recording. So as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't going to go into a huge amount of detail on today's webinar about the kind of the full list of benefits from conveyancing workflows. But again, you can view those on those webinars. And again, you've got links to view those on YouTube, and also you've got the ability to contact us directly through those pages should you require a one-to-one or more detailed demonstration, or you have any questions that you'd like our help with. Okay, thanks. I think my apologies for us running slightly over time, but I hope we kind of managed to give you some inspiration, and yeah, please enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.